Dr. Chapa in studio. I'm going to kick this on the FM. We're going to get into it, talking about health, nutrition, and how you can make your life better starting today. Here we go. Good morning. This is KHEA Radio, 99.5 FM. This is Kickstart. My name is Gardy. Right now, it's just after 9 o'clock, and I have Dr. Aaron Chapa with Living Well Clinical Nutrition Center located in Leak City, Texas, in studio. You can go to justlivewell.com to go to their website, fill out some health surveys, find out more information. You can book a visit and change your life starting today. Dr. Chapa, how's it going today?
Gardy, it's going well. When you said we were going to get into it, I thought we were going to get into jiu-jitsu. I thought you were about to take a swing at me like I did something wrong. I was nervous for a second, and then I was like, oh, okay,
it's
wait.
Going down.
It's just our normal show. Hey, this is not a normal show. This is always the exciting time where this could be the day. We always talk about today's the day where you can take life, take your health where you want it to go. And we're just excited with KHEA Radio, Living Well Clinical Nutrition Center, and all of our subscribers that are tuned in, that are on our podcast, that are listening. Remember, we are on many different social media platforms so that you can join anytime, anywhere, when it is most available and convenient for you. So make sure that you keep us in your subscription list. Make sure that you're grabbing hold of our old shows. I was just talking with a lady this morning, and she was telling me, I was listening to one of your podcasts this morning, and it was so cool because I hadn't heard it yet, and I don't know how I missed it. But when you go to those podcasts, there's a ton of shows up there for you guys to go back and listen to. And I was even excited. I'm kind of like you've heard of actors and things that aren't really interested in watching them, on the big screen. They don't want to see themselves. It's kind of, I guess, creepy or weird to them. And so I kind of had that attitude a long time. But last week, I went back and listened to one of the detox shows that we had done with you guys. And I was like, I had to separate myself. I put myself in the shoe of a consumer, because I'm wanting to review all of our shows and make sure that we are indeed giving you the most up-to-date health content available. Mm-hmm. And I was like, dude, this guy's got some stuff.
He's good. Yeah.
and so there really is the content we desire to give is top notch. We want to be your number one health and wellness resource in the realm of your being healthy, your kids being healthy, your family, and all of your friends, family, and loved ones. I mean, people need this information, guys. It is so exciting that technology allows us to subscribe to a channel and be a part of the podcast movement, be a part of our YouTube movement, be a part of the I guess it's Periscope, right? The Twitter movement. And so just make sure that you subscribe and keep us in your watch for new shows that we're doing all the time live, if you can catch them, and or in your convenient hour whenever it's most available to you.
And it's easy to find. So if you have an iPhone and you subscribe to Apple Podcasts, or you're on Spotify, which you can do that from anywhere, all you have to do is search Just Live Well and then hit that subscribe button, and your phone will notify you every time there's a new one. And so what I've been doing now the past 3 weeks, make sure it's done the same day, and that's going to be going forward.
That's awesome.
Easy.
So, I mean, and that does make, communicating the message and sharing the message. I mean, you can, Lynn, I guess, share it out with people that you think could benefit from it. And there's always something. I mean, it's just like, I look at this journey that I seem to walk people down is we can say the same thing over and over and over again. And to me, it sounds like a broken record. But to a person that is sitting before me and we're analyzing their food log, or we're analyzing their case, trying to figure out, where the next stone is that we need to open up, which layer are we going to have to till up in order to get to the next best piece of their healthcare to start sprouting forth. And it's new information to them. And it just took 9, 10, 17 times to hear it before it sank in such a way that it locked in, and they go, oh, I got it. And that's okay. Like some people get frustrated with that. They're like, well, people just don't listen. No. It's that people don't know. Like it's in whatever field a person is in, that field, they've learned the vocabulary. They've learned the nuances of shortcutting phraseology, And health is no different. So like it's very routine for me, and this is all very easy for me because I've been tinkering with it for so long. And I've learned it inside and out. I've studied it. I've put my 10,000 hours into the process. So one of the things that people I have to always remind myself of is that people are just starting, and we have to meet them right where we're at. So clinically, when all of our clinicians come into a room, we come in with a very clean slate. We have no objective to sell an idea or anything. We want to listen to the care of the patient and where their history, so that we can figure out where their body's breaking down and where they're at in the journey. Because some people, there's personalities that they can handle a steep learning curve and they want to jump right in and get after it. Other people, it's baby steps. It's like, what about Bob? Baby steps, baby steps.
Whenever somebody jumps right into it, does that affect the longevity of them being able to stick with it? Because I've seen people, go to the gym. I'm going hard every day, and you kind of get burned out. Or the food side. I'm just making this drastic switch. Does it depend on the person?
A lot of people come in and say they want to just jump all in, and I take that with a grain of salt, and I just still start them slow until they prove me otherwise. And when they start showing up and they've done this, they've done extra stuff, and they're like doing the extra credit, figuring stuff out, or they're asking really, direct questions about, and you can tell they're working the plan. They come in, their food log's all wrinkled up, and it's got stains on it because they spilled something, or their kids spilled something on it because they were writing on it. They were using it. I know that I've got a player. I got somebody that's really interested in taking their health up a notch and moving it forward faster than somebody that's just kind of kicking the tires a little bit. So it is all personality driven, and that's why we at Living Well Clinical Nutrition Center do not build cookie cutter programs. We try to teach you practices, lifestyle, food, stress management, detoxification practices that you can incorporate every month, every quarter, every year, in order to maximize your health at your speed. And I think that's an important, factor that really sets us apart, is we're not trying to fit everybody into the same mold. Although the mold that we want you in is the health mold. We want you as healthy and vibrant as possible. We want every cylinder to fire like it's as it was designed to, so that you're maximizing your longevity curve. You're maximizing your vitality curve. And I think that it simply does come down to, what are you doing consistently every day? And when it comes to things you put across your lips that you chew up in your mouth, and then make accessible to the digestive tract to work with. You
said y'all implement practices, so I think of practice like I'm getting ready for the game, like it's not going to be perfect. Is that accurate?
Yeah, absolutely. Because when are we ever going to go out into a game situation and have the perfect game? It's very rare. Even at the top of a game, an athlete at the top of their game, they might have the best game of their life, but it's never perfect. If you ask them, they'll say, I could have done this better, I could have done this better, even though they won. And they can also, I could do this better, I could do this better, even though they lost. And so we always say, our goal at Living Well Clinical Nutrition Center is to create a drug-free zone. We want to give you alternatives to drugs and surgery. We want to teach you how to live better, be better, stay better through food, through supplementation, finding those nutritional deficiencies, finding those organ systems that, like your liver, like your adrenal glands, like your heart, like your brain, are misfiring, and start repairing those tissues. And what winds up happening is we start creating your best game today. And so that comes down to water intake every day. I mean, I'm kicking myself a little bit. I'm laughing at myself a little bit. Last week, my family all went to Tennessee for a national convention, basically like student council type thing for my 15-year-old. So my wife and family drove Kinley up there, And then they went and just kind of had a week in the woods and they're at a lake house and they had fun and da-da-da. And I'm looking at the pictures thinking, I got gypped. I should have been there, number one. I mean, I'm really upset about this.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I worked, and I stayed back and I'm thinking, and my son goes, well, at least you got to serve all your patients. And I'm like, God bless you, son. I really needed to hear
That's true.
that.
That's true.
It's all about reframing the mind. And I was really proud of myself that, I mean, every night the sink, the kitchen sink was cleaned. The dishes, all that I used, I specifically said, you know what? I'm going to attempt to just use, 2 cups, my water cup, my water jug, and a tea glass, and then 2 pieces of silverware, the dog one and mine, and then a plate and the dog bowls, and then my skillet.
You could have just shared with the dog, and
I could
more
have.
efficient.
I could have, but I don't know. I'm not all about that doggy breath. You know what I mean?
Okay.
I'm not quite there yet.
I understand.
I'm earthy, but not quite there yet. And then so this morning I get home from training and I go and I realize the dishwasher was left as I left it yesterday morning when I emptied it. The kitchen sink did not get emptied, and we did not do the dishes last night. And I'm thinking, what happened? Well, I mean, like, did I just magically expect the dishes to get cleaned on their own? And they didn't. And I think that there's always a routine and a pattern that we have to keep in play. Now, some of it was we got home a little later because of Memorial Day, and after the office hours that we were at yesterday, I stayed up over at my in-laws and my mom's, and I found I got home later, and I just didn't do the nighttime routine, and your health is the same game. Your attitude towards life every day is the same game. Like, you have to choose to get in there and be actively playing. You can't just be idle on the sidelines, or you're going to walk into a dirty kitchen sink, or you're going to walk into potentially symptom patterns in your own health that are setting you up for, the disease that might be coming. And so we always got to be working the ship. We got to be working and tilling the land. We got to be molding you into the health vein where you're actively choosing health subconsciously. That way, I'm like a little robot. Tired or not tired, I'm going to clean that kitchen sink because I know that the day will start better. Or I'm going to eat breakfast because it's going to start my day better. It's going to set my body up for success better. I'm going to make sure that I drink that water first thing out of bed in the morning so I can maximize all my system processes as I'm waking them up from a fast. That's why they call it breakfast, break the fast, because you are breaking a 6 to 8 hour fasting window where you're not drinking water, you're not eating food, and you come up out of that slumber, and if you will take 6 to 8 ounces of water, 12 ounces of water, 16 ounces of water, whatever you're capable of. If you just never done this and you jump right into 16 ounces, you'll feel a little bit nauseated because your body will detox. I mean, it will literally start the flushing too quickly. And if you got trash that needs to be flushed out, you'll feel it. And people go, oh, I'm allergic to water. You're not allergic to water, folks, I assure you. You're probably allergic to the substances other than water. You could have intolerances, you could have chemicals build up in the body, but you're definitely not allergic to water. But it makes me pee all the time. That's detoxification. That's the water doing its job. It's flushing tissues. It's flushing cells. And so we have to just find these patterns and routines, and then what winds up happening is your body starts to function and fire like it's supposed to. And then whenever you start to, I've changed my diet pretty drastically over the last year, and then, course corrected even through the year, like switching from a heavy protein diet to a heavy plant-based diet to a lean protein diet, back to a plant. I've just kind of been playing with food as a tool. And so I've seen a lot of neat things. Like right now, I'm consuming a significant amount of food, and I can tell my body's struggling a little bit, learning to adapt to a heavier load of nutrition coming into my body throughout the day. And so wherever you're at, we want to teach you how to start implementing practice into your day-to-day so that you have better digestion, so that you have better absorption, so that you maximize detoxification at its most simplistic levels. And so we're always we want to get you in to listen to your story, turn over those stones of health, start tilling up the layers of I don't want to say bad practices, but bad practices, so that we can start setting you up for a better, brighter tomorrow.
Here's a comment. This came from Michelle. I'm going to read it. She said, I've been working on my health for a year and a half. Listened to and did what my clinician said to do. In the last 7 months, I've lost 28 pounds and 29 and a quarter inches. I've also been doing the Zerona laser. I had to heal my body before I could lose weight in inches. I feel great and have a long way to go.
I love that because, and I'm so proud of you, Michelle, because here's what I just heard you say. I had to heal my body before I could lose weight and get those inches off that I desperately wanted to lose. And she started making strides and progress, and isn't that sometimes the frustrating thing? We want to make a change today and see a result today. We don't want to wait till even till tomorrow, much less 6 months from now. One of my coaches told me, he goes, his goal for me would be to gain 10 pounds of muscle in a year. And I'm like, a year? That's not any fun. I mean, that's a long time away.
To be fair, you could gain 10 pounds of fat in a month.
I know. And that's so terrible.
Come on.
And so so we have to keep working at our health and recognize that we have to get healthy first. And then you'll see the benefits start shedding pounds and shedding excess. I have a patient that every time they go to the gym, they consistently they feel great, they're detoxing well, but they start detoxing aggressively, like they have some weight to lose, and they start detoxing really fast. So they start coughing a lot more. They have more issues, heavier bowel flow, and their sweat keeps smelling differently. And they're like, "Oh my gosh, this is. I don't even wear deodorant. This is disgusting. Like I'm disgusted with myself." And I said, "It's okay. That's your body reaching into different pockets of toxicity, different closets of toxin buildup that you have been accumulating like a hoarder over time." And that's what weight is. A fat cell can swell up 7 times the size of normal. I want y'all to just think about that for a second, because everybody initially wants to say bad fat cell for doing that, right? Hit the smash button if you get mad every time your fat cells swell up bigger than they're supposed to be, much less 7 times,
Mm-hmm.
And so when that happens, that is your body putting toxins inside of a fat cell for storage, because your liver can't figure out how to mobilize toxins and trash through the bowel or kidneys effectively. And so then it backs up into these secondary exit channels, and then it gets stored if it can't get out. The body's not going to let toxins. Now, by definition, a toxin is anything that your body cannot use, and so it will put it into a storage site. And then fat cells are one of those storage sites where your body will start to accumulate what seems to be more fat cells, but really just fat cells swelling up bigger than they're supposed to be, to protect you. They're like, add-ons. They're like additions. Just sometimes we don't like where those additions show up in our buttock and our thighs and our tummy, and you know what I mean? So like it's a frustrating addition, and we have to start recognizing that it's our choice to make a difference today. And so what are you going to do differently? Do you start your day with sodas every day? Do you start your day with sugary, candies or sugary cereal type breakfast foods? Are you bought into the idea that breakfast always has to be fringe toast and really rich, sweet delicacies? Or are you okay recognizing that a good lean protein for breakfast with a nice healthy version of a carbohydrate, or higher fat if you've got some conditions and disease-oriented symptoms that you are dealing with, we might have to modify what you're doing. Maybe you're pregnant, so your whole diet shifts and changes completely differently away from how a person that is not pregnant would eat. I would change their diet drastically in the first trimester and evolve them differently in order to keep their blood sugar stable and to make sure that their body's processing information well and building a healthy baby.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's just so fun for us at the office to work on patients and to hear their stories and to work them through care plans, because our goal underlying is to just get them healthy. And when they start getting healthy, then they start losing weight and they start losing the inches and they start feeling all their symptoms go away. Their stress it's the same stress, but they handle it better. They have more mental clarity by the end of the day that they didn't have before. They're more creative. They're more engaged in practices of life, things that are fun, and they have energy to engage in those things. I think that is the end goal of, what are we getting out of the day through productivity. And so often it can literally be a choice of fuel. Are you fueling your body with make-believe food, which we know make-believe food gives us what?
Make-believe health.
Make-believe health. And you can't expect to look the way you want and eat the way you want. You can't expect to perform the way you want and eat the way you want. It just doesn't work. If you put garbage into the body, you will get, indeed, garbage out in some capacity, some shape, some form, some symptom that you don't want, don't like, and would like to, get rid of. And it's sometimes hard breaking some of these emotional relationships to habits and lifestyle.
Because they come from most likely your parents and your family and what you've seen. So it's just been ingrained in you since you were little.
Yeah.
Right?
And I think that when people come in to the office, a lot of their ideals are familiar in nature. They don't realize that they're just familiar hand-me-downs. Things that we as a population do what we see other people modeling before us. It's the old saying, do as I say, not as I do.
Mm-hmm.
I wish that worked, but people always do what they see done, modeled before them. So the average American's eating the same 10 to 15 meals over and over again. I might even say it's the same 11 meals over and over again. And so if you were raised on box processed foods, if you were raised on quick fast food, if you were raised on sodas and sport drink, those are pretty much what you're gonna carry forward. And people, I'm shocked, aren't as creative as I think they should be, or they're not as creative as they could be. And some of it's because they just don't know that they can change. When I went off of salt, for example, I thought, how am I going to go off of salt? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I don't think I'd eat that much salt, but I started looking at, labels, and I started, wow, I eat a lot of salt. And then when I went off salt, it took me about a week, 2 weeks tops for my body to acclimate to a no salt spice dishes. And I'm not saying I'm salt free. There are times we go out to eat and things like that, but in general, my 36 meals a week are clean, salt-free, unless it comes with it via nature. Like eggs, for example, have salt in it. You know what I mean? And so I just try to limit as much as extra add-on salt. So all my spices that we use are salt-free. And so that's a fun thing. When you go look at that spice rack at your grocery store, you're going to see there's a ton of spices sitting there. And every one of those are hoping that you'll pick them. And a lot of times today, competitions are won because they put just a little extra bang of salt in there, or a little extra, touch of sugar in there that takes their food to the winning circle in the cook-off. Well, unfortunately, some of those winning cook-off foods aren't going to serve your health condition well. And in general, you need to make that pattern and habit of eating, foods. If they have salt in it, that's fine. But if you are adding truckloads and truckloads of salt to make it taste better, that's a sign that you have a nutritional deficiency, and that we can, at Living Well Clinical Nutrition Center, can help you find that deficiency and resolve you of it. It's like a horse in a salt lick. If they're sucking down salts, it's because they're deficient and they're looking for that salt. They should be able to get it out of their feeding practices.
So I was talking earlier this morning with another gentleman with Hippie Fertilizing, and it was Dr. Morrison, I think, that came in and was talking about the troughs, or was that
was Dr. Hill. Yeah.
Dr. Hill, how the animals
man.
Yeah, will just go to the trough with whatever is in there, what it knows what it needs. I thought that was cool.
It's one of my favorite concepts, and I've actually taken some of the conversations from our show a few weeks back. So remember, if you haven't subscribed to our channels, make sure that you go to the social media platforms, whether it's Twitter, whether it's a podcast, search Living Well, and it's
Just Live Well.
Just Live Well, thank you.
Pop right up.
And thank you. And search Just Live Well, and it'll pop right up. And go back and listen to that show with Dr. Hill and I. And it was amazing, because what happens is he was talking about creating like a salt brine for his animals. And so I went home. I don't have livestock, but I have puppies and dogs and cats. And so I have 3 water bowls down now. I have straight water, it's obviously filtered. I have one that I put a pinch of salt in, and then I have one that have a drop or two of minerals from a company that we use called Energetics, and it's called Spectrum, and it's like a liquid mineral. And I put that in their water, and I'm okay. I wasn't okay with throwing out the water at first. I was like, drink the water, you need the extras. But animals are instinctual, right? They're not like us that want to build a reserve of nutrients. But maybe what if we did live a little bit more instinctually? I think that you were talking this morning about the value of earthing, where you kind of go and just let the grass and the earth touch your feet again, or go and sit in the ocean and let it rock you back and forth and reset all of your body's energetics. I mean, it's pretty powerful to remember that is a lifestyle practice, slowing down. And so these practices that we're talking food mostly, but when we're in our office, we're looking for all kinds of lifestyle modifications, because sometimes one lifestyle modification in the realm of food could be powerful for one person, but just getting them to breathe. I had one patient, I've mentioned it before on a podcast before, where we had them download this app called Tactical Breather. It's a free app, and it teaches block breathing. Inhale, hold, exhale, hold, and then on the end points, hold, so in betweens. So you're holding for 2 to 4 seconds. And it is quite amazing, just 2 minutes of block breathing 3 times a day as a recommendation, Gardy. That was such a help for one person, because that's where they were at. They were so stressed out that they just forgot to breathe. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And
guys, just remember, oxygen is sort of kind of important, so make sure that you breathe. I don't want you to suffocate. And we're so shallow breathers because we have adrenal stress. We have stress management faults. Our body is not as capable as managing the day-to-day whenever the lifestyle of the world is pushing so hard for us to keep up. And so it is up to you to grab the reins of life and slow it down enough so that you can say, what's important for me to do today so that I can take better care of me, so that I can take better care of my responsibilities.
So, Dr. Chapa, there's a couple questions that have come in, and I think one's going to be a quick answer, and then the other one may be a little bit, but someone asked the quick one first. This is from Nicholas when we're talking about salt. He wants to know, what about pink salt, I guess, if you are going to have salt in your diet?
Yeah. So the pink salt that I believe he's talking about is a Himalayan and a Mediterranean salt that we use at our office. And that pink salt has 82 to 86 different trace elements in it. And so where the value of that is, Most of the salt that I'm speaking of is just sodium chloride. So like if you took salt water out of the sea and you start to dry it, you can get that salt crystal off the top of it. But if you don't take it to the next stage, you won't get those extra those subcategory of nutrients, those exotic minerals. And so the sodium chloride that is found in just your salty water, and that's what most people are buying at the store in the form of a sea salt. They don't take the time to make sure that they're getting access to those extra bonus nutrients. So in our premier Mediterranean Himalayan pink salt, it has been cared for, and it has 80 to 86 different trace elements. I don't know exactly what the number is. They just estimate that it's in that ballpark because it's never an exact science when you're dealing with the reals of life. I mean, we're taking this maximizing a process of extrapolating those exotic nutrients into the salt bottle that we're calling our salt. And so, yeah, that would be fine as a salt source. But what if you took a month and you went off of it and just allowed your body a time without it to see how you did? And so I say it's great and good and you should use it, but also be open to the idea of going without it and seeing how your body performs. And if we need to add it back, you'll know. You'll get Charlie horses and cramps. You'll feel parched and dry. You'll feel like things aren't firing on all 8 cylinders electrically. But I think that only happens if we're eating fake make-believe food. Because like I said earlier, I'm shocked still at the the milligrams of salt that is in my diet, because the average American right now from an exogenous source is consuming about 3,400 milligrams of salt a day. They only really need about 1,500 on the standard, caloric intake of 15 to 2,000 calories a day, right? And so if you went on a salt-free diet, but you ate real food, you're going to get salts. You're not going to get sodium and chloride. You're going to get all those micronutrients. You're going to get all those exotic minerals that are allowing your body to maximize function via mineral repletion. So it's not that you're going completely salt-free. It's impossible. So I want to make that clear. But what we're specifically talking about is when people are just, you ever been to a fish fry and you sink your teeth into it and you're like, woo, that's salty. Where's the water? You know what I mean? Because it immediately just sucks all the moisture out of your face, Yeah. And you're like, goodness. Well, that is also sucking nutrients out of your blood and causing changes in your biochemistry and your lifeblood makeup. And so that excess amount of salt production, when you go to a Mexican food restaurant and you dazzle, salt all over. I mean, I'm guilty. I was that guy. I would
on the chips. You don't even taste them first. You just
it's right. You just automatically guarantee that it needs salt.
Take a bite.
And then, but I'm all now, because I've been salt free for so long, I can eat salty foods and I can feel, my skin, my joints begin to change. It's really quite fascinating to see how quickly it has an impact. And so salt is still amazing, still great, still wonderful. But I'm just making the case that you don't need as much as you think you do.
Right. So on Friday, I had the opportunity to talk to Canned Goods. They have kombucha, and what they were talking about was it has probiotics in it, because whenever Americans, everybody, antibiotics, probiotics, they were saying kind of put some of that stuff back in there, and it's like a tea that they make and all this stuff, and it's not sold on the shelf, so they don't have to play by the rules of what it takes to get into a store. So I had some, and it's really good, but the stuff that they put in there, I mean, it sounds like it's. Are you a fan of kombucha?
I appreciate kombucha. I'm not, I would say, a fan, only because I just haven't really got into it, but I know people love it, swear by it, and I know that it has value. I mean, having it's like when we start to I'm about to say percolate, but that's not the word I'm looking for. When we I just dropped the phraseology for it. There's a type of fermenting foods. Thank you. Wherever that came from, the Holy Spirit. Thank you. You're so good. But when we start fermenting foods, there's a value that it serves our bodies. And so when we are in times of trouble, I think, and with the idea, just the conversation of how many people have taken an antibiotic in the last 6 months, 3 months, we are overindulging. Again, we are a drug-free office. We want to teach people how to live better, be better, and stay better without drugs and without surgeries. And so that requires the use of these tools and practices. But if you have a history of being on 2, 3, 4, 5 rounds of antibiotics a year, you've got a digestive tract that is fouled up, that is a mess, that needs to be repaired. And you're not going to maximize digestion. You're not going to give your body maximal absorption if you don't have a good, healthy microflora. And so that microbiome has to be healthy. There's trillions of little microorganisms in your digestive tract. And so those guys need to be fed. And probiotics, prebiotics are a wonderful asset adjunct to do that. And fermenting, basically your kombucha idea, is a great adjunct in that respect. I don't use it often as a practice personally, but I mean, I do so many, I think, other things to probably doing in the same vein as that. But I think I would rather see somebody do that than energy drinks or Gator or like sport drinks or anything of that nature, because I think that when we get away from artificials, when we get away from the synthetic garbage of society, and we're letting earthing happen in a SCOBY, you know what I mean? I mean, she probably talked about, or they talked about scobies.
Scobies.
And I mean, it's fascinating. I mean, to see that you can create a beverage out of the earth. And doesn't that just God being glorified? I mean, God is always providing what we need in our health, in our satisfaction. I mean, kombuchas do taste good. You can do all kinds of different varieties of flavor. And so, I don't know, maybe I should get into it more.
Here's another question. This one is from Molly. She wants to know, how do you find rest and healing in discipline rather than in spite of discipline?
How do I find rest and healing in discipline rather than in spite of discipline? Well, I don't know. I think rest and healing in discipline oftentimes saves me from unnecessary suffering. I mean, if you keep doing the wrong thing over and over again, and then you wake up with some sort of medical condition, some sort of symptom pattern that you were not genetically born with that is now ailing you. I mean, think of doing a job every day, because this happens every day, and people are chronically fatigued. They're dead tired by 10. They're dead tired by 12. They can't get through the afternoon unless they suck down more stimulants, more sugars, more caffeine, more rocket fuel, as I like to say, and that begins to wear the body out. There's no biochemical rest. Now, you might not realize you need biochemical rest, and so it's an awareness. And so for me, the discipline of choosing to feed the body well, to hydrate the body well, to supplement nutritionally what my diet can't offer me well, to give my body a 21-day vacation from stress and stimulants throughout the year, to do these types of processes in order to maximize my health expression builds natural rest, because the body is now not carrying the weight of a symptom like chronic fatigue. Or worse, how many people are living with migraines and headaches every day that they have no idea? They're taking medications for it. I mean, some people go to extreme levels to do injectables to loosen the muscles from the tension in their neck, causing their tension headaches. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, think how extreme measures people are willing to go to find relief. And I think the word relief there could even be translated in rest. And I think that people have to think of the mental bandwidth to carry a burden and have to do your responsibilities. I mean, that's a lot of energy that you're expelling. So you will get extra rest in the fact that you're not suffering with unnecessary ailments. Does it sound good, right?
Yeah.
So in spite of, rather than in spite of discipline, well, I mean, look, the one thing is for sure, you are you're going to be disciplined in one way or the other. You're going to be you're going to suffer one way or another. Like you're going to find your body adapting to lifestyle activities, and so it's better to go ahead and adopt practices, morning routines. I mean, we are very much creatures of habit. We want pattern. We want routine. We say these things all the time when we're talking about raising kids. They love patterns. They love routines. One of my friends taught me that my dogs like their pen. They like their crate. And I'm like, really? I mean, I don't want to cage an animal. But I've talked to shelter rescuers. I've talked to, people that are trainers, and they say, no. They like boundaries. They like routines. I mean, they probably don't like it any more than a kid does, but at the end of the day, they will respect it over time. And so I think that if you begin to respect the fact that your body has needs and that you are responsible for managing and maintaining those needs day in and day out, then you're going to have something of value 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 25 years from now. And then you can start looking to the future as going, I'm not worried about dying of a heart attack because my father did. I'm not worried about developing dementia and Alzheimer's like my family did. Oh, but Dr. Chapa, it's genetic. You can't stop that. Oh, contraire, mon frere. I'm sorry to say, you have been misinformed. All life is up to you to choose how you're going to express your genetic code. Could I walk out in the street and get whacked by a car and die on the way home? I could. But in the name of Jesus, that won't happen. But I'm not going to live like I'm going to die today. I'm going to live like I'm going to live vibrantly, fully functional in spirit, mind, and body today as best as I can. Does that mean every day is perfect? No. Just like we talked about earlier. But can I make today my best day? Can I do more than I thought I could if I surround myself with good people, with good books, with good education, with good resources in order to help me see blind spots that I didn't know I had? If you're suffering with symptom patterns, if you're suffering with symptoms that you weren't genetically born with, I encourage you to call Living Well Clinical Nutrition Center, 281-554-8600, or visit our website, justlivewell.com. Take some of our health surveys, because at the end of the day, when you start assessing your health and we get in there and help you turn over those stones and listen to your story, listen to your history, what you're going to realize is that your body wants to heal. And we want to give it all the tools and practices to maximize that healing.
Whenever you're talking about discipline and routine, it just makes your life easier. Because if it's not an option anymore, it's what I do and you have your reasons looking at the big picture, it just makes life that much easier. Like, hey, I'm going to go work out, or, we don't eat that kind of food, or at this time, this is what happens. It just makes life that much easier. And it's easier for your kids. And like you said, even compared it to the pets, and you like it. Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, don't get me wrong. There's days I would like, I like the idea of sleeping in, but my body just wakes up anyway. So, I've learned that my body has a routine clock. Is one of the things I was going to, kind of talk to a little bit this morning is the meridian clocks that I think I'm just always, when I sit back and just appreciate the design, when I glorify God and His well thought out process of the human code, I'm just always fascinated, because our digestive tract is most active between 5 and 7 in the morning. And, I always find that a lot of people have bowel movements first thing in the morning, but they never have bowel movements later in the day. Some people are fortunate to have a bowel movement after every meal. Some people go days without having a bowel movement. And I'm just like, so, what's up with that? If the body is most active from a digestive perspective, they've done research. When you wake up in the morning after you break the fast, there's neurological coding that increases muscular contraction inside of your bowel, your digestive tract. All those smooth muscles go through this peristaltic wave, and they start grinding down, pushing trash at 5 to 10 times its max capacity. That's why sometimes people feel a little bit nauseous and nauseated in the morning, is because their body's trying to push something out. Well, what that is waste from your liver being most active between 1 and 3 in the morning. And what was it doing? Somebody said to me, "What is my liver doing in there at that hour?"
Right.
Is it cleaning house? And I'm like, yes, it is. It is cleaning the house. It is preparing you for a new day by cleaning up, doing the dishes the night before, so that you come to a clean kitchen, not a dirty one. And this other fellow that I follow, John Rose, talks about, like, you don't want your bloodline, your lifeblood, to be dirty. That'd be like having a dirty kitchen, or or I don't want to say pooping in your kitchen, but pooping in your kitchen. You know what I mean? That'd be just weird, right? Like, we don't want to do that. And so if we can get into a practice of appreciating when our body is supposed to be most active. Now, the heart meridian is most active between 11 and 12, when the sun is at its peak, right? And so if that's the case, it'd be best to train and exercise in those hours. It might not be feasible, right? So unfortunately, we don't have a lifestyle, a working habit where some of these meridian clocks can be maximized, but we do the best we can with those hours. And we don't want to, just say, well, there's my excuse for not going and training. I mean, if after work is the only time you can go, that's when you go. If taking your animals for a walk several times a day is something that you can afford to do, you should. I mean, your body will say thank you just for simply getting active and getting out there and moving about. It is fascinating just to appreciate the body's routines, the body's daily practices, the body's ability to manage itself and taking care of the temple. Your body is a temple, making sure that you're maximizing it. Your body's got these self-governing mechanisms to drive detoxification, bladder, kidneys, intestine absorption, and elimination pathways day in and day out. So, I want you guys to recognize that if your body is not performing at the level that you think it should or desire it to, then you may be a candidate for evaluation. And you should always be willing to have somebody evaluate you for your blind spots, especially if you've never really given much attention to your health. Your health code is something that you can manage, it you can control, and begin to take reign over. And it doesn't absolve you from diseases and symptoms, and aches and ailments. I mean, please, these vessels are broken, right? But we are continually laying them down in the realm of disciplines and sacrifices to glorify the Lord, and I believe that the body will then in turn give us energy, vitality, mental clarity. It'll give us something that we didn't know was possible, which is to age gracefully when all the world is on, that is over 40 or over 45 rather, has 3 to 5 medications packed on them. You'll be a drug-free person. You'll be in your 70s still drug-free. You'll be still in your 90s with your mental wit about you. You'll make it to the end of your life not having to go through a cancerous state or an autoimmune state. You will have a testimony of good choices bringing about good results in the form of longevity, vitality, and an opportunity to then let people observe that in you. I mean, isn't that leading by example, right? It just comes back down to you are someone's confidant. You are somebody's mentor, whether you want to be or not. I pray that you are the best mentor you can be and recognize that people are watching you and they may be being inspired by you. So make sure that you're setting the tone high for yourself and for them that are watching. And I think that whenever you choose life one bite at a time, you'll start realizing the power of food. Headaches go away. Fatigue goes away. Belly pain goes away. You start realizing that your sleep begins to become deep again. You're able to fall asleep fast and your mind's not racing, that you're sleeping through the night. You're not waking up to pee or stare at the ceiling, and you wake up in the morning just feeling refreshed, ready to tackle the day. I think these are critical mass points that we have to start appreciating that age is only a number, and that if you have symptom patterns you weren't genetically born with, you don't have to suffer with them. And at Living Well Clinical Nutrition Center, when you subscribe to our channel, when you come to our classes that we do every month, when you are actively participating in all the programs, whether it's our Zerona laser program, our educational programs, or our in-house clinical visits that we offer, you're going to find tools, practices that you can implement, and we will help you gradient those into your life, either 1 degree or 5 degrees or 10 degrees, depending on your personality. We'll help you figure out how to integrate these things so that you don't, like you said earlier, Gardy, burn out. We don't want you to burn out. I mean, because what do you quit to whenever you look at health? I mean, you quit to disease, you quit to symptoms. No. We just keep working at it, and we keep enjoying the ride, enjoying the process. So I just encourage everybody that is listening, share our podcast with your friends, family, and loved ones. Make sure that you stay tuned in and listen whenever you can. This is why we have these available and all these different platforms, because everybody listens differently and they have their different, favorite outlet. We want to be in your subscription list so that you can continually learn, grow, and develop. And visit our website at justlivewell.com. We have a ton of great health resources up there. There's always things changing and evolving, and we're just wanting to be your number one health and wellness resource for what is to come in your future when you're looking at health. So God bless you today. I hope that you guys all have a fantastic, lovely week, and I'm just thankful that we get to be on air together. God bless you.
I got one quick question. It's actually not that quick of a question.
Oh, I love quick questions that aren't quick questions.
So
I can handle them.
This year, the past couple weeks, we had Dr. Morrison, we had Dr. Hill, we've had Dr. Amber, we've had Molly, we've had Jennifer, we've had all these guests in studio. Is there plans for that in the future to keep bringing in experts in the field?
Yeah, we definitely want to get more and more people coming on the show, because I want you guys to have the opportunity to get different perspectives. Sometimes we get in routines and patterns, and they don't mesmerize us as much. There's no shine. But even though the message may be very similar, but hearing it from a different point of view or in dialogue, you're going to pick up something that you wouldn't have gotten otherwise. And so, yes, we are definitely working with trying to figure out ways to get some of these folks in. The challenge for me is some of them are out of state, and but I know that they would love to be on the show with me, and so I'm gonna have to just brainstorm with you guys on how to make that happen, because I think that it'd be really cool to leverage other great, brilliant minds together so that we can serve this community more abundantly and give them the best, truly the best of everybody's mind. When we get collective minds in the same room, we know that rising tides raises all ships. It's only going to get better.
This is KHEA Radio, 99.5 FM. All right, social media, feel free to share this out. And don't forget, you can go back and listen to this at any point from any mobile device, from your computer, on Spotify, Apple Podcasts. This is also on YouTube as well. So on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, just go and search Just Live Well. Make sure you subscribe, and then you'll have the opportunity to listen to, there's tons of Dr. Chapa episodes on there. You can go back and listen, and then this one will be available later today. Thank you, Dr. Chapa.